I didn't raise my voice when the HOA president told me my back lot had already been sold to a more responsible neighbor. She had the nerve to say it in front of half the board, leaning back in her chair like she was conducting business as usual. I didn't argue, didn't even blink. I just reached into my folder and laid a crisp, certified copy of the original title across the table, the county seal gleaming under the fluorescent light. Their lawyer leaned forward first, adjusted his glasses, and the moment his expression fell, I knew it was over. He whispered something to the president, her face drained, and for the first time in months, the room went completely silent. That was the exact second they realized they hadn't sold my land, they had tried to sell something that had never been theirs to touch. The truth is, I never moved out here looking for a fight. My wife and I picked this place because of the backlot. An open acre with tall grass, just far enough from the house to feel like a retreat. I used it for stacking wood, working on projects, letting the kids kick a ball around without worrying about traffic. We thought of it as our buffer against the noise of the world. I wasn't looking for drama, I was looking for peace. The kind of peace that comes from hearing crickets at night instead of sirens, from fixing up your own shed without a neighbor leaning over the fence to comment. 4 years, that's all it was, quiet, ordinary happiness. Until the board decided it wasn't. It started so casually I almost missed it. A notice slipped into my mailbox, unsigned, saying my rear parcel was being reviewed for reclassification. I didn't think much of it at first, just another HOA overreach, probably a clerical mistake. Then came the second letter, this one certified, telling me I was in violation for storing firewood on common property. I laughed when I read it out loud to my wife. Common property? I'd been mowing, clearing, and paying taxes on that acre for over a decade. It wasn't common. It was mine. But the laughter faded fast when I learned they'd posted the same notice on my shed and doubled the fines every week it stayed there. At first, I played it civil. I sent emails with scans of my tax records. I attended a meeting with plats showing the subdivision lines. I even asked to sit down one-on-one with the president, thinking maybe she just didn't have the right paperwork in front of her. They brushed me off at every turn. One board member smirked while I spoke, another whispered and shook her head like I was wasting everyone's time. Their lawyer, clearly hired more for intimidation than competence, said, "If you believe there's an error, you can file a dispute." Meanwhile, the fines stacked higher, and neighbors began avoiding eye contact at the mailbox. It stopped being a misunderstanding and started feeling like something darker, a setup. That's when I changed gears. I stopped sending emails that disappeared into the void. I stopped trying to reason with people who clearly had no interest in reason. Instead, I started digging. Every evening after work, I drove to the county clerk's office, pulled deeds, plats, surveys, anything tied to my parcel. I tracked ownership records back to the 70s. I photographed the notices they taped to my door. I catalogued every fine, every email they ignored, every chain they put across the access road to the lot. My wife thought I was going crazy, surrounded by maps and binders at the kitchen table, but I told her the truth, this wasn't about firewood anymore. This was about them taking what was ours. It was on a rainy Thursday night that I found it. The original subdivision filing, the one that carved up the land before the HOA even existed. There it was in black and white, my backlot, my parcel number, and the unbroken chain of title leading directly to me. No reclassification, no transfer, no exceptions. I went one step further and had the clerk certify a fresh copy of the deed. I slipped it into a binder, along with a timeline of their harassment, and set it on my desk like a weapon waiting for its moment. That moment came at the next board meeting. They expected me to walk in angry, to argue or shout. Instead, I waited until the president announced that the backlot issue had been resolved through a pending sale. That's when I reached into my folder and slid the certified title across the table. No speech, no theatrics. Just one document. Their lawyer looked at it first, his lips moving as he read. Then he leaned back, pale, and muttered something to the president. She tried to brush it off, but the seal was right there, undeniable. Every person in that room saw it. The smug expressions vanished, and for once, not a single board member had anything to say. The aftermath wasn't loud, it was quiet, which somehow felt louder. The sale evaporated overnight. The chain across my gate disappeared before the weekend. A week later, the treasurer resigned, citing personal reasons. The president stopped sending notices altogether. Neighbors who had once looked away started nodding again, though some still avoided me. I didn't push it. I didn't need their apologies. What I wanted was my peace back, and that's exactly what I got. These days, The back lot looks the way it always should have, untouched, mine. Sometimes I stand there in the evening, watching the sun dip behind the trees, and think about how close they came to taking it. The HOA still exists, technically, but it's a shadow of itself. No more threats, no more fines, no more smug letters. When I drive past the board members who once tried to sell my land out from under me, some wave, some look away. Either way, the silence feels like victory.